Welcome back to the Roy English Podcast. I'm Roy.
And I'm Lily. We're so glad you're joining us today for another episode.
Absolutely. Today, we're going to dive into some really useful phrases for expressing your opinions naturally in English. These are phrases native speakers use all the time.
That's right. We've got 10 fantastic expressions that will help you sound more natural and confident when sharing what you think, or even when you're responding to someone else's opinion.
Exactly. Whether you want to agree, disagree, ask for clarification, or just show you're listening, these phrases are perfect. Remember, you can find today's vocabulary list in the video description below.
So grab a pen and paper, or just relax and listen as we explore these great phrases. Let's start with our first one. To be honest.
So Lily, our first phrase is to be honest. We use this when we want to be very direct or sincere about something, or sometimes to introduce an opinion that might be a little negative or surprising.
Yes, it's a great way to show you're giving your true feelings. Like in our first example, to be honest, I didn't really enjoy the movie. It means you're saying your true opinion, even if it's not what others might expect.
Exactly. You're being frank. It can also be used at the end of a sentence, like our second example, I think the new plan is good, to be honest. Here it emphasizes your sincerity about the positive opinion.
That's right. It adds a bit of emphasis, like, I truly believe this. It shows you're being open and straightforward with your thoughts, whether positive or negative.
Next up, we have kinda depends. This phrase is super useful when something isn't definite and its outcome relies on other factors.
Right. It tells people there isn't a simple yes or no answer. For instance, are you going to the party? Kind of depends on the weather. If it rains, maybe not.
Exactly. It implies there are conditions. And for projects, like our second example, how long will it take to finish the project? Kinda depends on how much help we get. If you get more help, it might be faster.
Yes, it shows that the situation is variable and not fixed. It's a good way to express uncertainty and that other factors play a role.
Our third phrase is, that makes sense. This is a very common way to say you understand something, especially an explanation or a logical point someone has made.
Absolutely. It means you agree with the logic. Like when you say, oh, you're right, that makes sense. I didn't think about it that way. You're acknowledging their point is valid.
Exactly. It shows you've processed the information and found it logical. Our second example is, so if we finish this task first, it will save time later. That makes sense. You see the good reasoning behind it.
Yes, it's a simple but powerful way to show comprehension and agreement, especially when someone explains something clearly to you.
Moving on to fair enough, this phrase is great for acknowledging someone's reason or point as valid, even if you're not fully excited about it or it's not what you hoped for.
It's like saying, I accept your reason. For example, if someone says, I can't come tonight, I have to work, you can respond with, fair enough. You might be disappointed, but you understand their situation.
Exactly. You're acknowledging their explanation is reasonable. Another example is, you want to save money for your trip. Fair enough. I understand. You might have wanted them to join you, but you respect their financial goal.
Yes, it shows you're being reasonable and accepting of someone else's decision or justification, even if it impacts your own plans.
Our next phrase is, I didn't catch that. This is a polite way to say you didn't hear or understand something that was just said.
It's very useful when you need someone to repeat themselves. For example, could you repeat that? I didn't catch that. You're politely admitting you missed it.
Precisely. It could be because of noise, or maybe the person spoke too quickly. Our second example is, sorry, I didn't catch that last part. What was the exact date?
You're pinpointing what you missed.
Yes, it's a polite and common phrase to ask for clarification when you haven't fully absorbed what was communicated. Now, let's talk about what do you mean? This is a direct question asking for more explanation or clarification when something isn't clear to you.
Right. You want the speaker to explain further. Like in our first example, the meeting is off. What do you mean off? You need to know if it's canceled or just postponed.
Exactly. You're asking for details or a definition. Our second example, you said it's complicated. What do you mean by complicated? You want to understand the nature of the complication.
It's a very common phrase when you encounter something vague or ambiguous and need more specific information.
Our next phrase is, I see your point. This is similar to that makes sense, but specifically about understanding someone's opinion or perspective, even if you don't necessarily agree with it.
Yes, it shows you've listened and understood their argument. For instance, I see your point about the budget, but I still think we should invest. You understand their financial concern, but you hold a different view.
That's a great example. You're acknowledging their rationale. In our second example, you want to try something new. I see your point. It's good to be adventurous. Here, you understand and might even agree with their desire for novelty.
It's a great phrase for demonstrating active listening and showing respect for another person's viewpoint, even if your own opinion differs.
Let's move to not necessarily. We use this phrase to disagree or to say that something is not always true or that there might be other possibilities.
It challenges an absolute statement. For example, if someone says, if you work harder, you'll definitely get a promotion, you might say, not necessarily, because hard work doesn't always guarantee a promotion. Other factors are involved.
Exactly. You're saying that's not always the case. Our second example, he's always quiet, so he must be shy. Not necessarily. He might just be thoughtful. You're suggesting an alternative reason.
It's a polite way to introduce a different perspective or to point out that a conclusion isn't the only possible one.
Now let's look at in other words. This phrase is used when you want to rephrase something, usually to make it simpler, clearer, or to summarize it.
It's perfect for simplifying complex information, like the report indicates a significant downturn in Q3. In other words, our sales are dropping. You're translating business jargon into plain language.
That's a great point. It helps your listener understand quickly. Our second example is, she decided to pivot the business. In other words, she completely changed its direction. You're explaining what pivot means in this context.
Yes, it's a very useful bridge phrase that helps ensure clarity and make sure everyone is on the same page.
Finally, we have, you never know. This phrase expresses that anything is possible, or that the future is uncertain, often with a hint of hope.
It's for when you want to suggest that something unexpected could happen. For example, it's raining, so the picnic is probably canceled. Well, you never know, it might clear up. You're holding on to a bit of optimism.
That's right. It's about acknowledging uncertainty, but also possibility. Our second example, I'm not sure if I'll get the job, but I applied. You never know. It's an encouragement, suggesting you still have a chance.
Exactly. It emphasizes that you can't predict the future and sometimes things turn out differently than expected, for better or worse.
And that brings us to the end of our episode on 10 English phrases for expressing opinions naturally.
We hope these phrases will help you express yourself more clearly and confidently in English. Practice using them in your daily conversations.
Absolutely. Try to incorporate to be honest or that makes sense into your conversations this week. The more you use them, the more natural they'll feel.
And don't forget, you can find the vocabulary list for this episode in the description below. Review them often.
Thanks for tuning in to the Roy English Podcast. We really appreciate you joining us.
Join us next time for more English learning tips and useful phrases. Until then, happy learning!